In Midway City, the Justice League looks on in horror. The city is gone. The people suddenly got superpowers and destroyed one another. The carnage leaves Superman nearly speechless, while Wonder Woman feels despair at failing to stop the very sort of violence which she left Themyscira in order to prevent. The League debates the notion of whether or not they could have done more, but Superman is quick to point out that they cannot protect people by force. Out of nowhere, a portal appears, and a group of young heroes come tumbling out of it. They say they are the children of the Justice League from the future. The world is almost gone. Billions are dead, and it's all their fault. Hello and welcome to Comic Island. My name is Arden, and this is my review of Justice League number 26. So I was looking at this week's solicitations, and this story arc for the new Justice League caught my eye. The series, in my opinion, has sort of become a bit of an anomaly. Rebirth, the new line of DC's comics, has been pretty solid overall. Justice League, which started out fairly strong, kind of lost its impact though relative to some of the other titles. It never really got bad, it just sort of was okay, good at best. This isn't really a big deal, but in Rebirth, which keeps bringing out these really polished comics and strong titles almost across the board, well, that means that the Justice League comics have started to feel like they're falling behind. The last Justice League comic I reviewed I did enjoy, but it was the Justice League vs. Suicide Squad tie-in, or one of them at least, and that did have some guests coming in to work behind the scenes, so it doesn't really correspond to the rest of the series. Like I said, it just really hasn't hit the mark the same way the other Rebirth titles consistently have. It's not a big deal, but as a flagship title in DC, I do think it's a bit of a shame. With all that in mind, I thought it would be a good idea to check in with the series as the new story arc kicks off here to see if any of this has changed. And the verdict is, sadly, not really. To be clear, I am saying number 26 is kind of what I expected based on past Justice League comics. So it's not bad by any stretch of the imagination, it's just not quite on the same level as the other Rebirth comics. I have big problems not so much with the story, but the overarching plot. The idea is one that you are probably all familiar with at this point. We see the future being ravaged by a mysterious threat, in this case this being called Sovereign, and the people from that future, in this case the children of the Justice League, travel back in time to stop the threat from occurring. Stop me if you've heard this story before, because like I said, odds are you have. Now don't get me wrong, in the world of comics, it's hard to put in an idea that isn't at least peripherally similar to another story before. And sometimes that familiarity can do you a lot of favors. Justice League vs. Suicide Squad was an idea that was done before, but the writers went out of their way to really make a polished story filled with great beats of action and wall-to-wall character moments. It's a lot of fun. The entire Injustice franchise is a good example of this too, taking the basic plot of a hero kind of going bad and making it into their own story by keeping it going beyond just the hero being evil for a week. We get to see the long-term implications of a Superman willing to kill, and it's a lot of fun too. And Civil War II had the brilliant idea of asking, what would Civil War be like if it were objectively worse? Hooray! Justice League number 26, given the super original title of Legacy, but we'll leave that aside, doesn't really do that, or at least not much in the beginning here, and not nearly as much as I would like. The biggest problem is this whole Days of Futures Past plot gimmick has been done way too much recently, so it's about as welcome as a rusty nail in my foot. That actually happened once, that's a long story. The whole comic reads like an abomination love child that resulted from a weird threesome between Futures and Age of Ultron, and all those stupid X-Men stories with that Brotherhood from the future they keep bringing back. And I hate all of those! So putting together something like this is inevitably going to grind against my patience a little bit, no matter what. Which is a shame because there are a lot of parts I do like about this comic. The art is great and done well throughout. In spite of what I just said, it's kinda neat to see the children of the Justice League, and to learn more about them will be a positive aspect of Legacy. They seem to be a cool amalgamation of various powers inherited from their parents, and I do appreciate that. The best part of the comic has to be when the future kids encounter their version of Aquaman, who is surviving on Cyborg's technology and even uses a Black Lantern ring at one point. They have this great fight, and it's so cool. I wish we got more of that, or him, because what appears to be the main villain, Sovereign, is very boring in comparison. He also looks suspiciously an awful lot like Ultron, if you ask me, and that does not help with the Age of Ultron comparisons. The look and design of the future really reminds me of Future's End at the beginning of that story, and that is not a good thing. On the other hand, the situation the Justice League finds itself in during the present is very interesting. What happened to all those people to give them superpowers like that, and what that means, and how the Justice League created the future we saw, are all plot points that could really shake this story up and make it even better. I also think it's worth noting the talk the Justice League had in the city of Midway felt quite significant. The way they were debating their role in protecting society, well, first of all, that sort of talk I think is worth having for this team, but second of all, it reminded me a lot of Injustice. It's telling to see the different versions of Superman, as the classic version insists on upholding his moral standards, yet at the same time it feels concerning to see the flashes of the Wonder Woman in Injustice starting to crop up, as she demands they do more to prevent tragedies like this one around them. If you can't tell, I have very mixed feelings about this comic. There are some cool elements within the story, but the plot feels very tired and overdone. Given the outstanding nature of pretty much every other Rebirth title right now, it's very hard to give this comic a recommendation. You'd be better off checking out Tom King's Batman, or the outstanding work they're doing with Superman these days, or any one of the other great Rebirth comics out there right now. Justice League number 26 is not bad. I'd say it's pretty good in fact. But in the world of Rebirth, it somehow just doesn't feel good enough. Honestly, I just think it's a big compliment to DC because, more than anything else, they've really raised the bar in terms of the quality I've come to expect out of them. That's a great thing. But the reality of the matter is that for something to be exceptional, well, other things are going to start coming across as mundane. So that's the end of my review. Thanks for watching, and let me know what you think of Justice League in the comments section below. If you like Comic Island and want to support us, be sure to check out our Patreon page. Otherwise, don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep reading comics.